Hello, welcome to Benjamin Tree. Today we're going to learn how to count the number of words inside of a cell. So the basic concept behind this is we're going to pretty much count the number of spaces inside the cell and add one. Because there's a space between every single word, we can count those spaces, and then because there's an extra word at the end, we add one to that. So let's take a look at how we do this. So we're going to start off with, we're going to be counting the number of words inside the cell A2 right here. So what we want to do is to take the length A2, and then we want to subtract the length of A2, but we're going to substitute inside of A2, we're going to substitute all of the spaces first, and we're going to turn them into nothing, so that way we remove all of the spaces. We're going to take the original length with the spaces, subtract all of the spaces, and then we're going to add 1 because there's one more word than the number of spaces to get the number of words inside of our cell. Okay, but I have something weird here. This is 18. Let's count them real quick in the cell. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the reason why we are getting 18 instead of 9 is because I have put extra spaces inside of the cell. So what happens is it's counting the spaces, not the actual words. So what we do is we have a function called trim. And what trim does is cuts out all of the unnecessary spaces. So that way there's spaces, only one space between each word, and there's no spaces after the end. As you can see here, I have some extra spaces here at the end. So trim will cut that out. And trim is a very simple function. It's just equals trim, and then what text do you want to put in? We want to put the text A2 into there. So when we put it in here, you can see that all of these extra spaces have now been removed. So it looks much better. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to find the length of an A2, of the cell that A2, but it's had all of the extra spaces taken out. So when we put it in there, now we get 9. So if I go back in and I add another space, we're still getting 9 because it's already trimming. It's taking that unnecessary space out. Okay, so I want to take a look at one more thing when we're making this word counting function. So in this cell F2, there are no words. There's nothing in this cell. So maybe you're dragging this function all the way down, and you might have an empty cell. Instead of trying to look for that empty cell and change it to 0, we should maybe figure out how we can make this formula automatically produce the 0. So that's quite simple. If the length of F2, which is the cell that we're looking at here, is equal to 0, then give me a 0. If not, then we're going to use the regular formula that we just used, which is the length of the cell F2 that has been trimmed minus the length of F2, but what we're going to do is we're going to substitute inside of F2 all the spaces into nothing, and then we're going to add 1 because there's always one more word than spaces when everything is properly spaced. So we put that in, now we put 0. If I type in hello, it gives me 1. If I type in hello world, it gives me 2. Okay, so as you can see today, we've created a simple formula that will take the text string inside of a cell, remove all the spaces, and count the number of words by counting the spaces that were removed and adding 1 to it. And also we learned that the function trim will take the unnecessary spaces out of a word. So that way it looks good. So if you're copying and pasting something from another source, it'll look better. And also if you're using this word cat formula, it won't count the spaces. Okay, so for practice today, go ahead and try to create a formula here in D2 that will count all the words in this phrase. I am the very model of a modern major general. So in D2, count the number of words in cell A2, and I'll warn you, I put some hidden spaces in there. It might not look like there's spaces, but trust me, there are. So when you finish, come down to practice answer key, and you can check your answers. If you want to download this Excel file, you can head on over to our blog. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment on YouTube or on our blog, and I'll try to get back to them. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for using Benjamin Tree.